Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, May 26th. I'm here. I'm here not here in my neighborhood. Come down the path that I would maybe normally take down to the river, but today I'm not going to go down to the river because there's some work folks down there, work crews that are I don't know, I think from the electrical Bunfield electrical company or someone, and so I'm keeping my distance. So here's a perspective that's across there, that in that tree line, that's where the river is, and I'm not going to go there today out of respect and social distancing, but man, is it gorgeous here. And it just helps me to remember that, about perspective, that as much as I long to be at the river, because I just love being at the water's edge, the river or the lake, as much as I want to be there and would love nothing more than to walk straight out across this field and go down there, it's not the right thing to do. And so I can be here in this space. Look what I am surrounded by. Look how beautiful it is. There's much to enjoy. It's a different perspective. Sort of like how we are experiencing church now, right? We, as a congregation, we haven't been able to gather physically, and that's really hard, and it's sad, and I miss it, and I long for the day when we can be together in the same physical space. We can gather again for worship. That will be such a celebration. I miss that, and I know you do too. But you know what? Isn't it lovely that we have this space, this virtual space? We have this ability to gather and still be the congregation of First Christian Church, still share worship, still share and study, still be actively engaged as the people of God, working together to create the church in this world. It's a different perspective. So what if we just took a moment, instead of focusing on what we cannot do because we cannot gather physically, what if we just stood a moment and took a look around at where we are and look what we can do? Look what we can see. Look at the beauty and the gifts that surround us in this space, even as we long for that other space. Look at the gifts. Look at the gifts that are ours. I've been meditating today on Psalm 104 because, it's one of the lectionary readings for this coming Sunday, which is Pentecost Sunday, by the way. And I want to share a couple of reflections, and I invite you to take a moment today or tomorrow, sometime this week, and just take a moment to read the whole psalm. It's a longer psalm, but it's a beautiful hymn of praise for creation. And it has some just lovely, beautiful phrasings in it that I think might really be meaningful. I'm going to share a few. I'm going to read to you now Psalm 104, verses 24 through 30. And I'm going to share just a couple thoughts that came to me as I reflected on it and continue to reflect. O Lord, how manifold are your works! In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your possessions. This great and wide sea in which are innumerable teeming things, living things, both small and great. There the ships sail about. There is that Leviathan which you have made to play there. These all wait for you, that you may give them their food in due season. What you give them, they gather in. You open your hand, and they are filled with good. You hide your face, and they are troubled. You take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. You send forth your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the earth. First, the first thing that really struck me as I was reading through it several times, is that just in that opening verse 24, where it says, in your wisdom, you have made them all. It is God's wisdom that has created all of this. I mean, when the psalmist talks about the sea and the creatures great and small, and also brilliantly pointing out the ships that are out on the sea. I mean, ships that we often would think were man-made. We don't think of that as creation. But how often do you actually, when you think of being grateful for creation, we almost always think of this, right? The earth and the trees. This is creation, God's creation. How often do you think of yourself or people? Do we lump that in? Because we are part of it. We are part of it. We're the ships out on the sea, enjoying the beauty of the water and the creation that was created for us to enjoy, as well as the Leviathan. That's a great image. The ship and the Leviathan, which is sort of this sea monster. Think of that. The psalmist actually kind of references a sea monster. The Loch Ness Monster. That these things coexist together. That there isn't the idea that one should be there and one should not, or one is an anomaly and what. No, it's perfectly natural in the psalmist view that these are coexisting, enjoying the sea, coexisting with each other, but also with the other creatures of the ocean, the other life in the ocean, great and small. Take that then out of the sea, then take it just out into the world. It doesn't matter where you look. God has created all of this in God's wisdom. Really think about it. Have you ever really thought about look at how beautiful. Look at this. Look at all these little flowers, these wildflowers, and the different types that are all scattered in here, living together. all these things that are coexisting. Look at this great big fern, and there's the evergreen, and here's other tree. I mean, have you ever really thought about how boring life would really, how boring creation would be if you stood and looked out and every tree was identical to the next? It was all the same kind. We only had one type of flower and one type of grass and one type of bush. Everything was the same. That you never had a mixing. A fern would never be growing next to the blackberries. A maple would never grow next to the you think how boring that would be. One of the most amazing things about creation, God's creation, is this ability for creation to coexist with each other. That it's not about creating sameness, it's about creating harmony. And that there's harmony and balance in the diversity. When will we ever learn that? It's hard. That's a hard concept for humans. The earth is full of your possessions, the psalmist says. The earth is full of your possessions. All of this. This is God's possession. What a great thing to remember. It's not ours. The land, these things. This is God's. This is God's possession. We're to be caretakers and stewards of God's possessions. And that also means human beings. We're included in that. We are God's possessions. And if we are to be good caretakers and stewards of all of creation, then that should and must include our fellow human beings. How can we truly love and care for each other? And then the other piece that just really spoke to me this morning, and you know what, I hope that you will read the psalm and meditate with it, and that you will find the pieces that speak to you, and you'll have perhaps some other insights, and I hope you'll share those. Send me an email, send me a text, call me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But for me, then verse 30, you send forth your spirit. They are created. It's all through God's spirit. God's spirit and wisdom and desire is what breathes life into all of creation, including us. You renew the face of the earth. Gosh, that just filled me and inspired hope in me this morning. You renew the face of the earth. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that because I needed to be reminded that in this time when there's so much politicizing and there's so much aching in the world. There's people, we have reached over 100,000 deaths in this country alone for the COVID-19, and it's still going. We have over 20,000 confirmed cases in the state of Washington, and 2,000 people have died, and it's still going. And there's families, all of those families, 100,000 families who have lost loved ones, 100,000 lives, individuals with their own individual stories. The beauty of the diversity of their creation, the pain. There's still so much, and then there's still people who are arguing that it's not real and that we shouldn't be messing around with masks. We should just reopen and get back to things. We should just go. And I get it. I do. I understand why people want to get back to normal. I do. But this morning, I needed to hear the hope from the psalmist mouth. This beautiful, beautiful phrase, you renew the face of the earth. It's not our power, it's God's power. We got to do what is the best and the right thing to do. And we know for First Christian Church in Olympia, Washington, the right thing to do is to stand in the perspective and from the point of view where we are right now, to continue to worship online, to study and gather in that virtual space, Hey, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be having a drive-in service where you'll be able to come out to Gwenwood in your car, and we'll have service if you want. We're finding creative and fun ways to be together, but it's not time. It's too soon for us to go back because it's not going to be safe yet. So we do what we can do, and then we trust and have this tremendous hope and trust that God will renew the face of the earth, which includes us. That includes us. God is renewing the face of the earth even now. I hope you find some comfort in that. I hope that you will meditate with Psalm 104. Share what you find. Maybe you hear something different. You know, one of the gifts of spirit is insight. What are your insights? Peace to you, my friends. I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon, whether virtually or in person. Amen.